Welcome to the Nate and Steph podcast.
Episode number six-ish?
Six-ish.
Six-ish.
Six-ish is the official episode number of this. If you look on all of the podcasting.
Plodcasting platforms.
It's a new thing. You know, plodcasting is going to be the next big thing to take off. And my mic is a little hot right now. Let's turn that down a little. Sorry, guys.
A little excessive, Nate. I was saying earlier today, I'm surprised that we've stuck with it this long and like consistently, and it's still pretty fun. Like I'm still enjoying doing this podcast.
Yeah, I'm still having a blast with it, honestly, because it like, you know, whenever we were back when we were vlogging, it would take so long to edit those vlogs and stuff like that. Like, you know, depending on which one it was, like I would say at an absolute minimum, like 8 hours of editing, 6 hours maybe, like,
Yeah.
And then maximum of 40 plus, depending. I mean, literally, like the Nicaragua vlog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one was.
Holy cow! So much footage.
So all of these podcasts, like we're shooting it. It's Sunday evening. It's like 5:30 right now, and I'll definitely have it done by tonight.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about that.
It's great. It doesn't take any time. It's like hour and a half. It's great.
Yeah. And it's fun. I'm enjoying like just sitting down and chatting with you, and yeah.
It's kind of fun. We've had people watching these podcasts that like we haven't talked to in literally a decade. Like say, like private messages and say, "Hey, listen to the podcast," and like this, whatever, without getting too much into it. But like it's like people we wouldn't have thought would have ever listened to this are listening to it, and it's pretty cool.
It's super cool.
Thanks, guys.
Definitely a cool way to connect with people. And yeah, I mean, if you are listening to this and haven't talked to us in a decade, reach out. Let me know.
So
Or don't.
tonight's
Whatever. You do you.
yeah, either way. So tonight's drink of the night, we have gone back to beer. We remembered to go to the liquor store tonight before we had the podcast to pick out a special beer. This one is from Soulcraft Brewing down south in Salida, Colorado. It's their All Mountain Amber. If you're just listening to this, I'm going to describe the can. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can check out this can. Oh,
Kind of. It's really matte black,
It's
so
really
it's
matte
kind
black.
of hard to see, but it's really freaking cool.
it's this,
There's like a topography map in the background.
oh, it is. Yeah.
Did you not notice that?
No, I didn't
Yeah,
even
so
notice
there's
the
a topography map in the background, like, yeah, and then there's a
Toyota
There's a-
Land Cruiser SUV.
Yeah. with some kayaks, some skis, and a mountain bike on the top.
Yeah, it's super rad. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where all they're distributing this, but Salida is not a very big place. I've actually never heard of Soulcraft Brewing, to be honest.
I hadn't either. The can just jumped out at me.
Yeah,
I am.
a lot of like today we were like, "What kind of beer do you want?" And we were both like, let's do something a little bit lighter today." And then so we just like browsed around until we found like a can that jumped out at us. I love doing this part.
I can't see it. Oh, that was a good pour. I'm much better at pouring beers than Nate is. Nate
Yeah.
gets way too much.
I did a good one this time. Look at
Oh,
that.
yeah, you did.
Pow, buddy.
Nice. Good job.
Cheers to an epic week of skiing.
Cheers to that. Oh, my gosh.
So it has been nuking. It has been absolutely.
That's good.
That's really, really good. Yeah, didn't even talk about the beer.
Oh, that is real good.
So it's an amber. It's very nice. I am terrible at describing beers unless it's like a porter or something that has like coffee in it. But it's really good.
It's very caramely. I think that's
Caramely.
that's how I would describe it. Caramely. I also have very minty chapstick on, so that might be swaying the taste a little.
It tastes like straight peppermint.
It's really odd. Not something I would have.
Somebody from Soulcraft Brewing is like going to stumble across this podcast. They're like, fucking mint? What?
It's not minty. No, it tastes caramely.
All right.
Anyway, Yeah. So we have been getting ridiculous amounts of snow, and it is so good.
On Thursday, it started snowing. They were forecasting like just a lot of snow, like probably like what was the initial forecast? It was like
1 to 2 feet.
1 to 2 feet. Woke up Friday morning, and we woke up at like 4:45. Immediately checked the snow stake, and it was only like 4 inches of snow. So I was like, dang, missed it.
They overshot it again.
Yeah, overshot it, which has kind of been the case the last like 2 storms. But then as the day went along, oh my gosh, it just kept going and kept going and kept going. By the time the lifts opened, we didn't get out of there when the lifts opened because I was like, 3 inches, I'm not going to get out there for first year for that. But by the time the lift started turning, I think the snow stake was up to like 10 inches.
Yeah.
So we got like, somewhere in the, like 8-inch range in between 4:45 and 9. And then it just kept going. By the time we got out there, we skied the last like 2 or 3 hours of the day. So we didn't get out there till like 1:30 or 2. Mm-hmm. And the snow stake was totally covered up, and that goes up to 18 inches. So there was probably like 20 inches. It was nuts.
It was nuts.
It was. I think it was the best day of skiing we'd ever had.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of like, in terms of just like the entire atmosphere of everything, like, it was just the two of us out there, great snow. Like we weren't super stressed. It was a Friday afternoon. Yeah, I think, because I think we've had more snow. We've obviously had more snow. Last year in Jackson was way more snow.
Yeah,
and
true.
last year in Steamboat even was way more snow. But I think in both of those situations, we weren't in nearly the same mental state. And
yeah, we weren't in just like quite as good of a spot in life as we are right now, I guess. And so that makes it harder. And then also like when we were there, we felt the need to go ski a full day. And so, I mean, if you've never skied in powder, it's hard. Like it's really physically demanding.
Skiing in general is just really physically demanding.
Yeah, skiing in general is physically demanding, but then like skiing powder is even more physically demanding.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more muscle to turn, all that kind of stuff. And so
when you fall, it takes you an hour to get out.
It's harder to get up. Like you're more wet. Usually the wind is blowing, which is kind of a mental. It wears you down mentally a little bit when you can't really see that good. So it's harder, but it's so much fun.
It's so worth it. I mean, that's why people love it so much. That's why we love it so much. But
but in the in the past, we felt the need to go out for the entire day, which is just it's hard. Like it's tough to go out for the whole day. But like since now, like we live close to the resort, we can just go out for like a few hours at the end of the day. That's been game changer for us this year. So we've been able to go out and just hard charge for like 2 hours, and just be like pretty much demolished after the end of 2 hours, but we were able to like give it like our 110% for those 2 hours. Mm-hmm. That's been nice.
Yeah, I feel like I've been enjoying skiing a whole lot more in general, just doing it for a couple of hours at a time rather than trying to go out for the whole day and like trying to conserve energy. Because that's the thing is like, especially when you know you're going to be out there the entire day, you're trying to conserve energy, but then like it makes it less fun when you're trying to conserve energy because you're not hitting the things that you want to hit. You're not going down the runs you want to go down. You're skiing more conservatively, at least I am. And I ski worse when I'm skiing more conservatively. Like get a little bit of whiskey in me and like fresh legs and I ski like a rock star, but get me all worn out and also knowing that I need to ski the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be way more conservative and make way more mistakes.
Yeah.
That said, I did hurt my toe on Friday.
Yeah. I was afraid I hurt my knee on Friday because I'd gone to this one spot and I went off this little jump and left-footed went into the powder, right-footed went onto the like the little skin track, and then I landed it kind of. I landed it on one ski, and my left leg was behind me, but I was still like riding it out on one ski. And if it had been on a groomer, like I could have stopped, but I was on this like super narrow thing, like through these trees. And so I was just like going faster and faster and faster. And I was like, fuck, like the longer I stay up, the worse this crash is going to be. So I just like laid it over, but like it twisted my knee around. It was like hurting that night, but pretty much good to go the next day.
Yeah. Got in the hot tub, fixed you right up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My toes last year were a major issue, but I got my boots punched out this year after. So last year I lost both toenails at the end of the ski season. Fun times. But when they grew back in, they were like, I don't know, thicker, more swollen. I don't know what exactly happened, but my boots did not fit at the beginning of this season. So I've had issues with my boots all season, then finally got them punched out, and I've been skiing great since then. And that was, like a month or so ago?
Yeah.
And then, maybe not even that. But then Friday I smashed my toe again, and it's swollen again. And I'm like, dang it.
It'll be good.
It'll be fine, though. I think this one is just like a little injury. I can't even
quick.
see a bruise on it, so
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
Because that's a crazy thing, like, you know, with ski boots. Because we got new ski boots like 2 years ago up in Revelstoke. Got them fitted, you know, from professional boot fitters and stuff like that. And you get your boots a little too small because they can put things and put devices inside of your boots to stretch them out because it's just a hard plastic shell. Mm-hmm. And so you get them, just slightly too small and then punch them out. That's what Stephanie was just talking about. Like you make them a little bit bigger to fit your feet. So if you go to Sun and Ski Sports or something like that, I don't know. The first time we ever got boots, we got boots in Oklahoma, and there's not exactly like boot fitters in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's bad idea.
Don't get us. Yeah, yeah. If you're from like a place that doesn't have a ski hill, like, and you want your own boots, like, go get boots in a
ski town.
Yeah, in a ski town.
Yeah, my boots were the boots that I got from the place in Oklahoma were literally 3 sizes too big.
Yeah, yeah, and that gets. I mean, it gets dangerous actually because it's like, you know, once you get to. I mean, you don't even have to be like this, like super advanced skier to like know when to push boots that are 3 sizes too big to their limit. I mean, just put on shoes that are 3 sizes too big and go outside and try to like, just try to like jog around or run around or something like that. Like nothing crazy, but they just like slop around. And then, so whenever you try to go and stop or you get in a bind and you're having to like, stop, your skis are chattering and man, it's just hard to stop. It's just not a good time, but
gonna have a bad time.
The ski boots are made to, I mean, if you get a good fitting, if you get your boots fitted, they'll last 25 years. Yep.
I disagree with that.
They should. Like, they should last very close to that.
I don't think they should. I think you're supposed to get new boots like every 5 years. I'm pretty sure that's... Anyway. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's standard. I don't think you're supposed to have them. Remember the guy that was in the shop while I was getting mine punched out, and he had them for 30 years, and that I don't think that's supposed to happen. I don't think you're supposed to do that. But
yeah, well, that's your opinion.
You do you.
I read something pretty cool this morning.
Okay, go on.
So it was just kind of like in new like energy developments and stuff like that. You guys know I like solar and just science. So some researchers, they found a way to harness energy from falling raindrops. So, whenever you take like a balloon and like rub it on your hair and you pull the balloon away, your hair like kind of attracts to the balloon. Static. So there's a different like name that makes that flow of electrons happen, and they have found a way to like get 2 different like layers of film, and then as a raindrop hits it, the kinetic energy will push the 2 layers together, and then as they pop apart, they will create that a little bit of electricity, and they'll create enough voltage to carry a charge, and so they've been able to make power out of falling rain.
That's crazy.
Science.
That's crazy.
Learned something new today.
Yeah. I think the scientists also learned something new. That's crazy.
I didn't even know this was something anybody was working on.
No.
So today on the podcast, let's get to it.
Yeah. What's our topic for today?
We have a very serious topic. Why is my microphone stand like all willy-nilly over here? Sorry.
Very serious topic.
We came up with this one earlier today. I was like, hey, we need to do a podcast tonight. I was like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And so I was like, what if we just gave the prompt, remember that one time when? And so that's what this entire podcast is going to be.
And if any of you guys know Nate loves telling stories. So I imagine this podcast is going to be a lot of me giving him prompts and maybe like inserting a little bit of my 2 cents, but it's going to be a lot of his stories. Some may or may not be real.
Yeah. You never, ever, ever let the truth get in the way of a good story. Okay. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first because I think the first one is the same.
Our first one is the same. Stephanie cheated.
I did not cheat.
You looked at mine.
Mine was already filled out, and then I came over and sat next to you, and then I looked at yours, and I realized that our first one was exactly the same. So, you remember that one time when we got the Fiat stuck in the sand?
So, whenever we were traveling around in our RV before we had the van, our tow car was a little Fiat 500. It was a great tow car. It was a nice little car that, was a little 5-speed manual, had like 97 horsepower in a 4.5-pound vehicle. It was like this super light go-kart of a vehicle. We were in Idaho and we wanted to go do some rock climbing, and we found this one spot to go rock climbing, and there was 2 ways to get to it. One was down just a trail, just a dirt road, and then the other way was via kayak. We didn't really want to like take all of our climbing gear into our kayaks across a river.
I don't think we had kayaks at that time, actually. I think we got
you're
kayaks
right.
that same trip.
Because of that. I forgot about that. Okay, we didn't have kayaks. That's why we didn't take them across. But so you could get to it via kayak, or you could go to it just down a dirt road. And so I had looked on Summit Post or whatever one of the climbing beta sites was, and I looked at it, and they're like, the road down to it is totally fine. We've seen Toyota Camrys down there, like no problem. It is a dirt road, but it's accessible via low clearance vehicle. So we're like, okay, cool. Like Fiat, yep, low clearance vehicle. Check, got that. And then so we're like, and we're usually like super cognizant of the abilities of our vehicles. We don't like pushing our vehicles past their limits, and so we saw that. And so we start heading down this road, and it's like this double track road. It's kind of this like field, if you've ever been in like BLM land or like National Forest land, you know what I'm talking about. Start heading down and round this corner, and then all of a sudden it gets super sandy. And it's one of those things once you hit sand,
There's not much you can do.
Yeah, it's like either like if you can get stopped fast enough, that's good. But otherwise, you just gun it and hope for the best. I don't even remember what maybe I just balked. Like, did I stop? I don't remember.
No, we got high centered.
I mean, did I gun it? Like, did I stop? Why did we?
You gunned it for a while. We made it a ways down that road, and then, I think it just got deeper and deeper and deeper, and it essentially turned into double track.
Deep double track.
Yeah, deep double track with sand, and we just got high centered.
Yeah, so
I don't think you could go anymore.
No, so yeah, it was double track road at that point, and it was the hump in the middle of the double track was, where we got stuck, it wasn't that much. It was 8 inches tall or something like that. Like I said, it was a Fiat. We didn't have a whole lot of ground clearance. I started, so we got out and then we tried to self-recover just a little bit. Nothing crazy. And then I went down we were about like a mile from the crag. We had our bikes on top of the Fiat. So I grabbed my bike off the top and I went down to the crag and see if there was anybody down there. There was nobody down there, not a single soul down there at the climbing location. And so came back up, and so we started digging and like made some progress and like messed around with it. Like it was a full day ordeal. But finally, I guess there was a farmer that like he finally came by and pulled us out. But it was just this like funny thing, like getting the Fiat stuck. And so like I was like, well, I was like, you know, I don't really get mad when we don't get mad when this kind of stuff happens, because we have this thing between the two of us. Like, if one of us says, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this, then that's it. Then we stop. Then we turn around and we don't attempt it. Both of us were good to go on that one. We didn't have any, second doubts or whatever.
I don't think we had any time to doubt it.
No, we didn't have
honestly.
Yeah, it was just like it got bad all of a sudden.
Yeah, because the road going into it was, just packed dirt.
Yeah.
Just fine, no problem. We'd been down hundreds of roads like that, so no big deal. But yeah, it just like turn the corner, and all of a sudden it was like, oh God, like, and there was nothing that we could have done.
Yeah, well, as I was riding my bike down towards the crag, it got way worse. Like some of those ruts on there, I'm pretty sure they were driving tractors down, because they were legitimately 2 feet deep ruts on each side of the hump in the middle of the double track road. Like, you'd probably had to have had like 37-inch tires or something to get down there. And so I was like, wow, I am going to go, I'm going to check into this website and like let them know. It's like, hey, this information is wrong. You guys are sharing bad information. And so I get out there and I look, and the last time that the road conditions had been, or the conditions for that particular locations had been updated, was in like 2003 or something. It was something like 14 years ago. And I was like, oh, that's why.
Yep.
Maybe you could get a Toyota Camry down there 14 years ago.
There might not have been a climbing location down there at all. There might not have been a crag. There might not have been.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be a sport route, wasn't it?
Yeah, there were sport routes down there.
Yeah.
I didn't, whenever I got down there, I didn't hang around long enough to like scope them out. But
Yeah, so it's very possible that the bolts might have been gone.
That's true. Yeah, there wasn't any updates.
Yeah. But, I think that's like, I think that was one of those times where, like you said, like neither of us got mad or anything. Like, it was hot and it was annoying, but we were prepared. We had we were prepared to be out there all day climbing, so we had plenty of food and water with us anyway.
Yeah.
But we had the dogs with us too. And that would have been the only like difficult thing, is if that farmer hadn't driven by, our next option would have been for you to drive into town, because we also didn't have cell signal there. So it would have been for you to drive into town.
Ride your bike.
Yeah, sorry. Ride your bike into town enough to get cell signal and call a tow truck with me sitting there with the dogs.
Yeah, gross.
But luckily that farmer came by and helped us out.
Oh, man.
Good times.
Next one.
Your turn.
This is okay. I'm gonna wait till you stop drinking.
Uh-oh.
No, that's fine. Remember that one time we ran out of food in Destruction Bay?
Yes. Oh, hot dog stir fry.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this one is good. So we were driving the Alcan, the highway that goes across Canada from the lower 48 to Alaska. We were on our way to Alaska. And I think Destruction Bay is just outside of, what is that little teeny tiny town that's the capital of one of the provinces?
Whitehorse. Whitehorse?
Yeah.
I think so.
Whitehorse, Yukon, right?
Yeah, in the Yukon territory.
It's the capital of the Yukon.
I think so.
Anyway, so right outside of there is this tiny little, I can't even really call it much of a town.
Steph says right outside of, we're talking like 2 hours outside of.
Yeah. Like we weren't close. But in terms of the Alcan, that's like right outside of.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
But anyway, so it's this little tiny town that there's nothing there. So we're driving along the Alcan, and to this point, we had basically been using like the boldness of font on the map
Oh yeah,
to
that's
determine how big a city was.
right. Yeah.
And I mean, to that point, it had worked well for us. Like if a town was in big bold font with nothing around it, then it was probably a relatively decent sized city with or a town at the very least with a grocery store, like a school, like a town hall.
A fully functioning town.
Fully functioning town.
But
Destruction Bay was not.
This is before, so we didn't have like international phone plan or data plan on our phones or anything like that. So like checking Google Maps wasn't an option.
Yeah. So we pulled into, and we knew that we had at least planned out enough to know that there was an RV park. So again, like we figured if there's an RV park in this city, this town,
metropolis,
this bustling metropolis, then surely there's got to be like other things. Like you don't have an RV park and nothing else. Well, you do have an RV park and nothing else in Destruction Bay, Canada. I can't even remember. Was it in the Yukon?
Yeah, it's in the Yukon.
In the Yukon? Okay. But essentially that's what that town was an RV park for people crossing the Alcan trying to get to Alaska.
Yeah.
So that's all it was a stopover point. And so we stopped there. And we had been out of food, like essentially out of food. Like I'm not talking like we were starving.
No, we were like starving,
but we were out of like legitimate like dinner foods.
like planned food, like.
And so we go to the little like convenience store. That's really all it was.
It said grocery
store
up top.
Yeah,
grocery store.
I mean, but you guys know the type. Like it's a convenience store, restaurant, motel, gas station, all in one, and also the RV park. So we go in there.
Also the concert hall.
Also the concert hall, bustling metropolis. But so we go into the grocery store, and it is legitimately just a convenience store. It's not actually a grocery store. And we needed something for dinner. We needed something, anything. And so we bought hot dogs because that's what they had. We knew we had some rice. I think we had like an onion in the fridge. And so Nate legitimately made a hot dog stir fry. It was like hot dogs, like cut up hot dogs and rice and onions and like seasoned with blackened seasoning.
Yep.
It was edible.
It was, so they had a restaurant in
It was sustenance. That's about all it was.
They had a restaurant in that town, but it was only open like Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that.
Oh, and the eggs, we were going to buy eggs. Because we were like, if we have eggs, we can make just about any meal. Like we can make it through any meal with eggs. But their eggs were like $15 a dozen, and I was just not going to buy those upon principle.
It's out of principle. They had ground beef too, but I remember that was like something crazy, like $23-$25 per pound.
Per pound, yeah.
Something like that.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those like you do when you're traveling, you do really have to be flexible in your diet. I mean, now Destruction Bay flexible is a little maybe too flexible for my stuff. Hot dog stir fry was maybe not the highest point in my life, but
made it happen.
We made it happen. We made it through.
It wasn't bad. Like,
but it wasn't good.
I mean, I've had worse. I've had worse things in meals that I've actually planned.
That's true. That's a good point. But where I was going with that was just like the price of food in certain, like the price of certain staples in certain places. So like in Denali, once we got to Alaska, in Denali, milk was $14 a gallon. And no, I'm sorry. Like I don't care how much I can afford. I am not paying $14 a gallon for milk.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
That's something we realized, like going to Canada. It seems like every time we go to Canada, it's like chicken's really expensive, but beef is not too bad. Like it's a little more pricey than like U.S. prices, but not a whole lot more. But chicken's like way higher for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Destruction Bay. No, but that was pretty funny. Well, and what's even funnier about that is we were like, okay, well, once we get to Whitehorse is literally the capital of the Yukon.
Oh no, that's why that's
Surely.
why we didn't have food, is because that was after Whitehorse. Because when we got to Whitehorse.
Was it?
Yeah,
No, it was before.
So Whitehorse is right before Destruction Bay, and we passed on Whitehorse because we went to we were trying to find a grocery store, and the only thing we could find was Walmart, and we're like, well, maybe this. Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, because I'm just realizing something. Because I thought Destruction Bay was before Whitehorse, but that's where we got the hot dogs. Was in Whitehorse.
I know.
We got the hot dogs
Yep.
in Whitehorse,
Yeah,
but they
you're
didn't
right.
even have at the Walmart. They didn't even have buns.
They didn't
so
have
we
hot
had
dog.
hot dogs and just regular white bread.
Yep.
But
that's
why
right.
did we have stir fry then?
I think we just had rice. I think we just had rice, but we bought hot dogs, and we're like, we'll find hot dog buns on down the road. Yeah, so we tried to find a grocery store, couldn't find it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like maybe it was called, I don't know, Sammy's grocery store or something like that. They didn't advertise on the internet, so we couldn't find them or anything like that. Well, and also we didn't have the internet on our phone, so we couldn't find it. But anyway, we found a Walmart and went in there, and did it say it was a super center? I don't remember. They didn't.
No, it wasn't a super center.
'Cause they didn't
But
have-
usually Walmart, like even the normal Walmart, like the regular Walmarts,
Yeah.
still have a grocery section. So it had like a grocery section where there was like one row of freezers and like 3 or 4 rows of like groceries.
Yeah, but we went in there and there was like nothing in there. Like the place was trash. Like it was a trashed out place. Like, we rolled up to the front of the Walmart and there was like RVs everywhere. Like everybody who was going to Alaska and everybody who was going to Alaska 4 years ago and then decided to take up residence at the Whitehorse Walmart. They were there. It looked like a literal trailer park out
It
front.
was so bad.
It was nasty. Like people dumping their gray water on the
concrete.
parking lot. Like, oh my gosh, you talk about just a gross joint.
Yeah. We didn't even stay. Like we were planning to like stay there overnight, stay in the Walmart parking lot overnight because we had read obviously that you could stay overnight one night and then move on, which is the intent of stuff like that. And so we had planned on like, yeah, sure, we'll stay there one night, sleep there one night, and move on the next day and make it to the border. And we didn't even do that. We kept driving because it was so embarrassing.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
To be like placed with that crowd of like, there's these like, I mean, there's like these like $500,000 RVs parked next to literal garbage and sewage, and they're just fine with it. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
No, thank you.
Yeah, because one of the things, like, here's a rant, but it's like one of the things with where's my hang on, Nate rant. Okay, I've been wanting to use that. So, Walmart there for the longest time, they allowed people to like stay overnight, and it was designed to be just like you're passing through town on your way to somewhere else. You stop for the night, you grab some sleep, get off the road for the evening, grab some groceries in the morning, and then you head on out. Like that's how it was designed, and it's going away. Like I had read a statistic the other day about I don't remember the actual numbers, but basically like half the amount of Walmart locations in North America allow RV camping or overnight parking in their parking lots than they did 5 years ago, which is the time that we had kind of started that lifestyle, and we saw that. Like we saw them going away.
I think it's also a lot of city ordinances too.
It is,
because
I think it's largely city ordinances.
As far as I know, the like corporate policy for Walmart is still to allow RVs.
Yeah.
And because it's a business strategy, honestly, like it's a good thought on paper. It's a really good strategy of let these people who are traveling and like theoretically like when you're traveling, you're going to be spending more money. Let these people park in our parking lot overnight. And the theory is that when they stop for the night, they'll then go into Walmart, do their grocery shopping, whatever, spend a little more money than they would have had they just been at home or whatever. And then the next day they move on. But what it turned into, unfortunately, is like this, like, I don't know, just free for all.
There's just people living there.
Yeah, free for all
That's
RV
what
park.
it was.
Like, yeah, kind of just trash. So unfortunate, but that's what it turned into. That was way off the topic of Destruction Bay, but moving on.
I just like the name that place is called.
Destruction Bay.
Hang on, I get to do this again. Destruction Bay.
Okay.
I have like 24 different effects over here. That's probably literally the only one I'll ever use.
I don't know. There's some good ones in there.
It's my favorite.
Okay, so you remember that time? This is actually kind of related. So I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna jump around because this is not actually my next one, but it's related to that one. Remember that time a cop knocked on our door of the van? This is the only time we've ever had a cop knock on the door and tell us to move. And he literally told us.
What did you write down?
Well, that's what I wrote down. That cop knocked on the door.
That cop knocked on the door.
Go for it, Nate.
So, we were coming down California Highway 1. We were like, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours north of San Francisco. We're still out in the middle of nowhere. We're still out in the middle of nowhere. And we'd been driving all day, just seeing the sights. And we pulled off in a rest area. And we are incredibly cognizant of when it says, like, you know, no overnight parking or anything like that. We always look for that. We look online. We try to see if we're on forest land. Like, we don't break rules when it comes to like where we're allowed to park and stuff like that.
Yeah, any of you that know me, I'm a rule follower.
Steph's a rule follower.
I'm a stickler for that. And I'm not going to park somewhere. I'm not going to park in front of a no parking sign.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, I mean, just going back to like what we were just talking about, the more people that park in no parking areas, it makes it worse for everybody else. Mm-hmm. So we don't do it. We're doing our part. And so we pulled at this spot, you know, no signs, no nothing like that. We were pretty sure it was on National Forest land. I couldn't see for sure, but we roll up. It was probably like 10:15 or so. Like, so it was pretty late already. Well after dark. Pull up, we park, we go to sleep. And we were laying there, get a knock on the door, and I think it's local Barney Fife. And he's out there, and we had on our van, we had like floodlights all around the outside, the exterior of the van. And so I kicked all those on and hopped out. I don't know, like, just without getting into that, I don't like going outside. I mean, if it's just a random person or if it's a police officer, I don't trust anybody equally. And so I hop out, and then, you know, we talk, and he's like, hey, this is a no parking area. I was like, oh, sorry about that. Like, where's a good spot to go? He's like, well, there's a campground, like, you know, 2 hours, or there's a campground just down the road. I was like, well, we tried there. Like, they're completely full. They turned us away. I thought this was on National Forest land. I didn't see any no parking signs. We're just sleeping for the night, and then we're going to take off in the morning. And then he's like, well, you can't sleep here. You're going to have to go down the road. And he's like, and then so we're like, okay, that's fine. We'll go on down the road. And then he's like, well, when you leave, just be careful. We've had a whole lot of problem with drunk drivers out here. Like, what? Like, you're trying to tell me to fucking leave? Yeah. Whenever you've had a problem,
make me get on the road with a bunch of drunk drivers.
When you have a bunch of drunk drivers, why don't you go do something helpful? Oh, I can't stand police officers like that. And I can do this. I can have a problem with police officers since I was a firefighter. I have a moral obligation to have a problem with police officers. It's in children's books. It's in cartoons. Sorry.
Yep. So what we ended up doing is we moved, of course, because, I mean, he was like, he wasn't going to leave until we moved. So we moved about 10 minutes down the road. Because it was, not only was it drunk drivers, but he also said, also be careful watch out for deer.
He's like, look out for all this shit that I'm like making you get back out on the road
yeah,
for.
why don't you, it's midnight at this point. You go ahead and go back out on the road with all of these drunk drivers and these deer and like
Zombies.
just go put yourself in danger, please. Cool. Okay, so we get on the road, and like by this point, like I said, it's like midnight, and we're both really tired. We'd been driving all day, and so we get to the next rest stop, and we stop. We know at this point that it's the same type of thing. Like it was a restaurant stop like 5 miles down the road.
It was the exact same type of rest
It was
stop.
the exact same type. Like, yeah. So we start talking about it, and we're like, okay, so here's the plan. If we get a knock on the door, what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip out my laptop and my headphones, and I'm going to pretend to be on a conference call. And Nathan is going to go talk to whatever cop is out there and say, yeah, my wife is on a conference call with
one of her clients in Japan.
Clients in Japan. That was our plan. Was we're going to just pretend that we're not sleeping here. We're just stopping at a rest stop because that's what a rest stop is for.
My plan was just write me a ticket.
That's true.
I don't care. Like,
yeah, we had this elaborate scheme because, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, like we weren't hurting anything, and me, rule follower to the T, I was not okay with this.
Yeah, because we were on National Forest land. Like we had double checked that after we had left, and that cop was full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were on forest land.
And the next rest stop that we came to, there was another car there, so
yeah,
we figured like if there's at least another car there, maybe we'll mess with them instead of us.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Oh, don't even get me started. Oh, that was last week's.
That was last week's. That was the remember.
that could have been a don't even get me started.
Yeah,
Because
we kind
of did that.
But that was, I mean, the 2.5 years that we lived in our van, that was the only time we had a cop knock on our door.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we were in the right there.
Yeah, we were totally in the right. Barney Fife, man.
Barney Fife. I would have been.
I bet he was probably like the starting quarterback on the police flag football team, and they just got demolished by the local fire department.
I bet so.
Like,
he probably saw the fire department sticker
probably
on
saw
our
the fire
windshield and
department
was like,
sticker.
"Oh,
Those
I'm gonna
motherfuckers.
mess this guy up.
Yeah, I bet that's what happened.
I'm gonna write him a ticket. That's what I'm gonna do."
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Remember that one time you almost got eaten by a sea turtle?
Oh my God, I have that one on my list too. What the hell? You copied mine.
Stephanie almost got eaten by the most docile creature on planet
I
Earth.
did, and I love them. Sea turtles are like my favorite creature in the world. Like, I love sea turtles. They're so pretty. They're so majestic. They're so cute. But this buddy, it was not his fault though. Like, I will still like as scary as it was at the moment, I will still defend him because he was still being a majestic little creature, and it was our fault. And
He was sleeping.
He wasn't sleeping. He was eating. Oh. So what happened is we were scuba diving. It was me, Nate, and like maybe 4 others, and we were diving and just like swimming along, no big deal. Nate had just gotten attacked by a moray eel. That's a side story. But we saw all of these sea turtles, and like, again, I love sea turtles. And so everybody's looking at something. I can't remember where everybody else's attention was, but everybody was looking at something, and I saw this like relatively small sea turtle off to the side, off by itself. And so I swim over, and I'm just looking at it, admiring it, because again, I love sea turtles. And so I'm just like hanging out in my own little world with my own little sea turtle, like just loving life. And then all of a sudden, Nate is next to me. And then all of a sudden, another person is next to me. And then the next thing I know, I look up and everybody has made a circle around the sea turtle. And then the next thing I know, the sea turtle realizes exactly what I just realized, and people have made a circle around him and trapped him, essentially. And so he looks up. I can almost like hear him processing what is happening. And he looks up, and there's like human, 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 human all around him. And he looks at me and like legit makes eye contact with me.
Hey, Stanley, you missed a very important part of the story.
What?
Earlier, you said I'm over here with this little sea turtle. This was not a little sea turtle.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
in my mind,
this
he
was-
was
so-
little.
so
He
the-
was bigger than me.
This is a loggerhead sea turtle, and it was about 4 foot in diameter. It's like the size of like a coffee table.
He was little in comparison to the ones that we had been looking
He was
at.
bigger than you.
He was bigger than me, absolutely.
Okay, all right, that was important. His head was about the size of a volleyball.
So this sea turtle makes eye contact with me, and I know what's about to happen. Is he's looking at the path of least resistance in this little circle of humans, and I am the path of least resistance. And so this sea turtle comes charging, mouth wide open, at my face. And all I can do is backpedal as quickly as I can, and I'm diving. Like I don't have much control.
Which
here.
isn't very quickly.
It's not very quickly, but I got out of the way enough for him to like me to throw my head back, him to swim like up over my face, and like I can feel the water. I can feel the water like that he's pushing off of his fins. And he gets away, and he's fine, and everything is good. I'm laughing.
I almost drowned.
I think our entire crew almost drowned. Like there were like 6 cameras there, and not a single person got it on camera because everybody was laughing too hard.
And so if you've never been scuba diving, whenever you laugh, whenever you laugh, your cheeks go up. And whenever your cheeks go up, it breaks the seal on your face mask. And when you break the seal on your face mask, your mask fills with water. And so you can have water go up in your nose. And so you have to focus really, really hard on just laughing through your mouth, which if you're listening to this, try it. Try right now thinking about laughing and not laughing through your nose. And now I'm imagining everybody laughing at this. Okay, so that was fun. But no, it's hard. It's hard to laugh whenever your face is surrounded by water.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I was the only one not laughing. I was still kind of in shock at what the hell just happened.
That was a big turtle.
But then we, at the end of the dive, we all get back on the boat, and I'm like, okay, who got that on camera? Because I will pay you for this footage. Nobody got it. I was so mad. I mean, there was one guy with like a $5,000 camera, and I'm like, you weren't rolling right then?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You got like 60 pictures of a parrotfish. But on the side note of that, because what I wrote down was, I almost got eaten by a sea turtle after you almost got eaten by an eel.
Yeah. So the thing with the eel, I had a video camera I had a GoPro. It's like I think it's GoPro Hero 1. It's my first GoPro, and so I had that on a little selfie stick kind of thing, and I was like had it facing the opposite direction.
It was a piece of PVC pipe. This was before selfie sticks.
Oh, there's the OG selfie stick.
Yeah, this was
it's a piece of PVC pipe. Also Oklahoma, and so, but I had it like facing. It was the opposite of a selfie stick. It was more of just a stick I could point at things and get video of it. And so I was able to like get it in there and like some pretty cool stuff. Get it in pretty close to some reefs and some starfish and some crabs and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of cool because it's like, I don't know, like whenever you're under the water, fish treat you differently. Like if you see a fish on the surface and you're above the water, fish have a tendency to not let you get like close at all. But when you're scuba diving, I mean, they let you get like, within arm's reach for the most part. Like for the most part, they won't let you reach out and touch them. Not that like you should, not that we do, but like they're real close.
I'd say like after 15 feet deep, they start getting more chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
They start kind of thinking of you as another fish.
And depending on the species of fish, like some of them will get like right up in your mask, like inches from you. Like sometimes it gets like, it's like, get
Annoying.
out
Those
of my
little sergeant majors.
Yeah, little sergeant majors are like, get out of my face. Like I'm trying to swim here. They're like, hi, 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 hi. But anyway, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, the eel.
The eel.
So I had this camera on a stick, and I saw something like down inside of this like coral, big like coral thing that was like 15 feet tall. Saw something moving, so I kind of like went down underneath and saw this tail, green tail, and I was like, oh, that's some kind of like eel or something, I guess. Probably an eel. I think I knew enough at that point to know it was an eel. And stuck the camera up in there. And I'm like, oh, great. I got a shot of this eel's butt. Okay, cool. Do eels have butts?
I mean, they have tails.
Okay. So I was like, well, I want to see if I can find the other half of this thing. And so I kind of saw like where he was like hanging out. And then so I swam up to the top of the reef and looked down and was able to see his head. And I was like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. Like I can see his face. He's huge. And so, it wasn't a moray eel. It was a green eel.
It was a green eel, yeah.
Yeah, it was a green eel. And so saw his face, and yeah, his head was about as big around as a volleyball, approximately 10 inches or so. And just like watching him for a minute, and then got that camera and like started like getting closer. Probably got too close, to be honest.
Definitely got too close.
And then he like backed up into the coral. And so like I sensed that he's like, okay, well, like he's noticed me, so I'm going to stop, because he hadn't done anything up until that point. And so like he backed up, and I was like, okay, well, like I don't want to like, make him mad. Like I don't want to make sea creatures nervous or anything like that, especially ones that are like look really big and intimidating. And so I backed up. And as soon as I pulled that camera like out of that coral head, that eel came out of that hole, and he was about 12 feet long, about a foot in diameter, just like all the way down. It was bigger than me. And I mean, if like me and Michael Phelps would have been racing, I would have just annihilated him. I was so fast. Like there was a sonic wave behind, a sonic boom behind me as I was swimming. I was like pulling the boat to shore. Like I was going super fast. I thought I was going to die.
And mind you, this is literally minutes before the sea turtle incident. So this happens to him, and I'm dying laughing. I was the only one that saw it happen to him. And then just a few minutes later, into the same exact dive, the sea turtle incident happens, and that's all anybody could talk about. And I'm like, wait. What about Nate getting chased by an eel? Did nobody else see that? Nobody else saw it.
Yeah, and then so like I kept swimming, and then I came around this other like little coral head, and then Poseidon was on the other side, and he was actually like, "Damn, bro, like you gotta teach me how to swim like that." And that was pretty much the end of that. And then I gave swimming lessons to Poseidon. It was pretty cool.
Moving on. What's your next story?
Oh, am I next?
I don't know. Well, we both had the same two to start with.
We did.
Oh, no. You had destruction base, so it is my turn. Okay. So, you remember when we moved into the RV in the middle of a snowstorm, getting hassled by a cop? This is another cop story.
Another cop story. You got all kinds of cop stories, don't you?
Those are the only two. But 2 out of my 5, yes.
Two out of the 5. That's pretty high percentage. Yeah, so whenever we moved out of our normal house into our RV, I'm slow playing this beer. Hang on. So we moved out of the house into the RV. We knew that we couldn't park the RV on we were living in a townhouse, and so we couldn't like pull it up into the parking area. It was just too small. And then we knew that like wasn't going to be a good deal to like pull up the RV on any of the city streets and just park it.
This is important, because I actually called the city of Aurora and found out that we were legally allowed to park it there for 7 days.
For 7 days. Oh,
Yes.
That's right. I forgot about that. More drinks.
Yeah, but that's important to the story. We were allowed to park it there for 7 days.
Okay, so we were legally allowed to park it there for 7 days. And so we knew the day that we were going to be moving out of our townhouse. And so we brought the RV there, day before, day of?
It was it was 3 days before.
3 days before?
It was 3 days before, yeah. We took possession of the RV 3 days before we were moving into it.
Because we were installing a better heater in the bedroom area.
Yeah. And so we had a little bit of time planned for that, but then but again, we knew that we had 7 days legally, so fine, 3 days, no
Perfect.
big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. And then so we pulled the RV there. The church behind our house, they called and they said it was being a nuisance. And so they called that in on us. Thanks, church. And then
Big nuisance to an empty parking lot.
yeah, big nuisance on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so the day we were moving out, like a snowstorm was coming in. And so it was like snowing, like huge snowflakes the last day. And like at first, whenever we were trying to move out, we were moving out of the townhouse into the RV. We already had everything like sold off that we needed to sell. We were renting out the house, fully furnished. So we didn't have to like take anything to storage really. So like everything that was going with us. It wasn't going to storage or anything like that. And so at first, we're trying to like move things in. Stephanie was like putting things away in cabinets, nice and neat, boxes, organizing. Yay, RV life. And then like this was taking way too long. And then like throughout the like as the day went along, it was getting colder. It was snowing harder. And then all of a sudden this cop started showing up and he's like, hey, you need to move this. I was like, hey, we've only had it here for like 4 days and, we've got like 7 days to do this. And he's like, no, he's like, you need to move it. I was like, well, I mean, that's not what the law says, but I guess cops make up their own rules. And so he was like, man, he's just like super hassling us. And then like I told him, I was like, we want to be out of here just as bad as you want us to be out of here. We're leaving tonight. We're just moving our stuff into this. Give us some time.
Yeah, give us a minute. Hang on.
Give us a minute. And so like.
But he kept coming back.
Fuck, that guy was just like persistent. He brought another officer. Like I guess, and like this was an Aurora police officer because our townhouse was right on the border of Denver and Aurora. So either department could really respond or had jurisdiction. And so like Aurora's got some like rough areas. And so it's like, do you not have anything else better to do? Like we're not causing an issue over here.
Yeah. We definitely weren't causing an issue to the church because I mean, it was literally a Saturday night by this point, it was like 8:00 at night. And in the middle of a snowstorm, there was nobody in the church's parking lot.
Well, and
we weren't in the church's parking lot. We were on the
lot.
street. We were on the street. Again, fully legal. And I had confirmed this with the city. And I told the officer that, like, we confirmed. We called and confirmed because, again, #rule follower. So this was really frustrating to me that I was like, no, this is within the law. I've already confirmed with the city that we're able to do this. This is fine. We actually, like, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of it, we actually have 3 more days. So not just a couple more hours of you hassling us, but ultimately we were like, look, we want to leave just as much as you do. You want us to leave. And like Nate said, like, do you not have anything better to do than hassle a couple of people literally trying to just move stuff into an RV and get out of there? We weren't doing it.
And it's pretty obvious, like we weren't like just like hanging out there like camping. It was like
yeah, like I mean, every time he came, there were like we had boxes.
Like Stephanie
we were, like,
was
physically moving stuff.
Like, and we weren't trying to like stealth camp or anything like that. Like all the lights in the RV were on because Stephanie was trying to like put things away. I was moving boxes into the RV from the townhouse. Like it was a moving operation. You just got
we showed him that
got Barney Fife over there again, all over the place.
Over the place. But yeah, like we even showed him that we owned that townhouse. Like we weren't just like trying to camp here, just like trying to get a free place to stay. Like we own that house. So yeah. But I think the funny part about that was like Nate said, like when we first started that day, because this was a Saturday, we started the day like Nate's moving boxes, I'm putting stuff away, it's gonna be good, like we're gonna start this out right. And by the end of it, it was just like, Nate, hand me 5 boxes at a time. I will throw them onto the bed or into the closet or wherever they can fit. And by the end of it, we've got a picture somewhere. I don't know where this picture is because we didn't have like an Instagram page at that point or anything. But we have this picture that like when we finally pulled out of that street, it's like me and Nate like just looking like absolute wrecks because it was in a snowstorm and we'd been moving all day. And the dogs trying to lay in their beds, but there are boxes like butted up to them. There's boxes like all over the RV.
I'm
we're
getting
just
stressed out, like just you talking about this.
we're just like, all right, well, let's hope that by the time we get down the road, wherever the hell we're going, that's another story. But wherever we're going, let's just hope that everything just stays in its place.
Yeah.
Stays where it is.
It looked
It's
like a
not in its
legit like
place.
hoarder's place. Just
It was so bad.
just because of like yeah, we were just trying to leave,
Yeah.
and it was like
And
by the time
it took us another like several weeks to get everything like actually truly organized. So I don't know what I was thinking I could do it all in one day.
yeah, because in all reality we were just moving like 2.5 hours down the road to an RV park up in the mountains because we were going to be skiing. But yeah, it took a long time to like get all that stuff like fully organized. So I think there's this like preconceived notion that like, you know, that people see our videos and they see like how organized a lot of our stuff is. And they're like, oh, you plan things out. And like, you know, I've been planning to do this. I've been trying to build my van for the last 12 and a half years. And it must have taken y'all 30 years to do this, right? And it's like, no, it took us like 3 months, like, cause we like fucking just made a decision and we don't overthink things.
Oh, and shoot, like when
We don't have
when
time.
we decided to move into
we don't
the
have
RV,
time to overthink things like that.
from the time we decided to move into the RV to that night, it was like a month and a half. Like we decided we were going to move into an RV, and then within a month and a half, we bought an RV, left our jobs, rented out our house, sold all of our shit, and moved into the RV. Like 1.5 months.
Yeah, super fast.
And that was actually delayed because I was supposed to leave my job sooner.
We were going to try to do it before Christmas, but
Yeah.
it just didn't happen.
Yeah. One of my employees quit on me and I didn't have anyway.
Oh, that's right. If that hadn't happened, then
If that hadn't happened, we would have left before. Yeah.
yeah,
It all worked out for a reason. I got Tiffany out of the deal.
yeah, that worked out well. Yeah, we don't do things slowly. Sometimes I feel like we do things slowly, but then it's like you look back on it and it's like, wow, that was only a month and a half.
Like if you think we do things slowly, just talk to any of our realtors.
Oh, that's true.
Our realtors think that we are nuts, like absolutely crazy. Alyssa, if you're listening to this.
We bought one house whenever we were living in Oklahoma still. I was at the fire station. And
I almost added that to my, sorry, I
Did you?
almost added
That's
that
fine.
to, my,
I didn't,
to mine.
I didn't add it, but I wanted to talk about it. We
Remember that one time when I bought a house without telling you?
yeah, whenever so I was at the fire station and Stephanie, you know, we had kind of like been kicking around the idea of like getting a property to buy and to flip. And Stephanie had, you know, a great relationship with our realtor down there. And Stephanie like texted me one day when I was at the fire station. It was like, hey, what do you think about buying this house? It's like, how much was that house? It's like,
Oh my God. It was
40,
yeah,
43.
50 grand. I think it was 53.
53.
43 or 53 grand. Like,
It was
super ridiculously cheap.
It was in the like the $50,000 ballpark for a how big was that house?
900 square feet.
2-bedroom, 1 bath, like late 50s. Super cute little house in
the village in Oklahoma.
In the village in
Yeah.
Oklahoma. So it's like, it was nobody's going to be familiar with this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So in Nichols Hills, it's literally 1 block north of the Nichols Hills.
Local Hills.
Nichols Hills, like city limits.
Which Nichols Hills is like a super nice, like old money kind of.
Yeah, old money kind of thing. Huge growth trees, like trees that are like 4 feet around, front yards and all that kind of stuff. Super small place, but super nice. And so Sammy's like, "What do you think about this?" And then I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." And apparently she had already like put in an offer on it. And I was like, "Well,"
I mean, it was like me and my realtor. She called me and she was like, "Hey, can you come over? Can you come over and check this house out? I need you to check this house out." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm at my office like 3 miles away. I'll be over in 15 minutes." So I met her over there and we check out the house. And like, I mean, honestly, it was pretty gross. But
oh, it's fucking disgusting.
It was
oh my gosh.
It was a nightmare, but it was perfect for what we wanted because it was something that was not marketable in the state that it was in.
No.
And the sellers just needed to get out from under it. And so we were like, let's go in with like a real low ball offer and see what happens. And we got it. And yeah, so that's the day that I bought a house without consulting with Nate.
Because you need to get at me like pretty quick or something like that. And like I feel like you actually wanted my opinion maybe, but like I don't know if I was on a call.
Yeah, I mean you were at the station, so I knew
had a fire. Like I don't know, I had something going on where I wasn't at my phone.
Yeah, and it was one of those things. Like I mean, any of you that have bought a house before, you know there are multiple stages of the buying process where you can get out of it, and so I figured. If I put an offer in and it's something that I'm the financial person in the relationship, and if me and the realtor agreed on this, then if you absolutely wanted to say absolutely not later on, there'd be opportunities for that. Like after the inspections, like shoot, like the foundation was crumbling. So like we could have gotten out of it, but yeah. So I wasn't like being super reckless or anything, but it was definitely one of those like, hey, so what do you think of this house? Okay, cool, because I bought it.
Check this out, because we have it now. It's now ours.
Okay, next one. Your turn.
Remember that one time we went to the Little Corn Island?
Oh my God, I love the Little Corn Island. Oh, this is so relevant because we're about to go back to Nicaragua
next week.
I'm so excited.
We're not going to the Little Corn Island though.
We're not, and I'm really sad about that, and I really want to go back, but Little Corn Island is, so let me back up, because I just kind of got off on like a way, ooh. So Little Corn Island is off the Caribbean coast of Nicaragua, and there are two Corn Islands, Big Corn Island and Little Corn Island.
Little one is the smaller of the two.
Thanks for that clarification.
You got it.
So you can fly into Big Corn Island from the mainland of Nicaragua. And so we flew in from Managua, flew into Big Corn Island, and the only way to get to Little Corn Island is by a panga boat. Just like a little boat.
It's like,
I don't know how did you describe a panga boat?
Like a 40-foot long plaster boat.
Like open air, like
open air, two big outboard motors on the back.
Yep, and just like rows of seats on it.
Yeah, just
like on that one.
It's a transport.
It's a transporter. That's the only way to get to Little Corn Island is by boat. And so we hop on this panga boat and get to Little Corn Island, and like Little Corn Island is so little, and also in Nicaragua, which is a developing country. There's not a whole lot of information online about it. So like we were going into this like very, very blind, and with Nate's mom, which we'll get to in a second because that is part of one of my stories. So we get there, and like I think we had a hotel. Yeah, I think I had a hotel booked. So we get there, and this island is so little. There's no cars on it. I mean, the only way to get to it is by boat. There are no cars on it because there doesn't need to be any cars on it because it's like what is it, like 2 square miles?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we walked around the entire island.
We walked the circumference of the island.
In like a morning.
Like not even a whole day.
No, like not even a
It
whole
was
day.
like between breakfast and lunch we did this.
Yeah, it was like a late lunch, so like maybe like 5 hours.
Yeah. So like we get there and this like you get off the Pinga boat and onto the little dock, and like there's 2 directions that you can go. You can either go left kind of into like the more like living town, or to the right, which is more of the touristy area where there's like dive ops and stuff like that.
A touristy area.
Yeah, heavy on the quotes, touristy. So there's a few little hotels, and they're all dive ops. They're all connected to the dive ops there. And so we were staying in one of those. This island is just like, I mean, it's so small, and the infrastructure it's not really there. So when we got there, like there was,
It's almost okay.
It's almost okay. It's kind of not there. But we get into our hotel room and we like get our stuff situated and everything. And so we go down and are talking to some of the like locals there. And they're like, yeah, in the mornings, just so you know, just like to prepare you, the electricity goes out every morning from about 6 a.m. to about 10 a.m.-ish. And so we're like, oh, okay. That's, whatever. Cool. That's interesting.
Like in my head, I was like, well, maybe the electricity is going to go out. Like I thought they were telling us like we don't really have a stable power supply here. But no. Like,
it literally goes out. They shut it off at around 6 a.m. and it comes back 10 a.m.-ish. So like the next morning, like Nate and I have always gotten up pretty early, and so we got up probably around 6 a.m. We realized that the electricity's off, and we're like, okay, well, it's gonna get hot in here anyway, so let's go. And so we head out and we go down to a little restaurant, and we're like, oh shoot, if the electricity's off, then they probably don't have coffee. And so we go to the little restaurant, and they're like, "Oh no, we got this. We've got coffee because this happens every day.
Yeah,
prepared for
they're
this."
used to it. They had fuel burning.
Yeah,
alcohol stoves or propane stoves or whatever.
And so like we like sit there, and we're just like so enthralled with the fact that like this is such a simple life, and it was so beautiful there. It was like, I don't know, it was a little bit surreal sitting there thinking about how connected we are in the world, and how much we truly depend on electricity for for our phones and our computers and for the internet and for like my smartwatch. I was looking down when we started this podcast, thinking, God, I left my smartwatch upstairs on the charger.
Literally everything.
Everything is dependent on electricity.
Just like look at like what I mean. I've got this thing here for like audio, and I've got 2 lights set up over here, and like each one of these microphones, like the mass amount of electricity it takes just to run this podcast.
And then to upload it into the internet.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So, but that was our very first like night and morning there. And then we just started exploring everything, and we kind of went off like and when I say touristy, like it's that is a very loose term, because there's not very many tourists that come to Little Corn Island. And sorry, Pyrus is dreaming apparently.
Is that what she's doing?
Yeah, she's scratching in her sleep.
I was wondering what the noise was.
That's Pyrus. Anyway, so like we kind of get off the beaten path, and we go exploring more like where the locals live, and like we find the school there, and like we were there around the time that around lunchtime recess kind of thing, and so there were a bunch of kids outside like just playing and everything, and we continued down this path, and we found this little bakery.
Oh man.
This bakery, and this bakery was just like this woman's house. Like it was actually just her front porch. Mm-hmm. And she had this like little
display case
kind of, with just breads and pastries and things like that on it. And I was like, oh my God, we have to get something. And so we ask her how much things are, and she's like, I want it, the thing that I wanted, it was pineapple bread. And I want to say it was like 25 cords, which is like,
which is just shy of $1. Yeah, 30 cords is $1 about.
yeah, just shy of $1. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
For like a full loaf of like pineapple bread.
Fresh baked pineapple bread. And I was like, I think I misunderstood you. 25 cords. That can't be it. That can't be right. You've got to be like saying like 250 cords. But no, it was 25 cords. And so we happily pay her, and we come back and eat the bread, and it was the most delicious thing I have ever eaten. And so for the rest of the time that we were there, she told us that she started baking. She started baking at 3 a.m. and she would have bread ready by like 5 a.m. every morning. And that was kind of her routine. And so as soon as we woke up every morning that we were there, we would walk down. That was like our morning routine. Walk down, get some coffee, walk over and get some pineapple bread, and come back and start the day.
And it was like, I mean, it's fresh. Like, so it's so hard to get, it's hard enough to get supplies out to the Corn Islands that, everything has to be as fresh as possible. Coconuts were, they just go gather the coconuts as they fall. Pineapples, same thing. Flour, they probably have a stockpile. I don't think there's no wheat on that island. So they're probably getting 50 pound bags of flour. But it's like just to paint the picture of this quote unquote bakery. It was literally the front of this lady's house. And by house, I mean, it was pretty much a tin shack. That's pretty much all the houses are on Little Corn Island. It's a tropical location. So like there's never inclement weather. It rains every single afternoon, but there's a lot of dirt floors, like Steph said, developing country kind of thing. They do have, I don't know what she used for her stove. Probably some kind of like wood burning stove, perhaps propane.
Maybe propane.
Maybe.
Because I know the lobster place had propane.
Yeah, they did have propane there. So it's like just like this thing. But the other place, the place I wanted to bring up was a place we were eating. We had 2 breakfasts apparently. There's a place we had.
Well, yeah, because Little Corn Island.
So we had the pineapple bread.
Gotta have second breakfast.
The pineapple bread we had. That was like our pre-breakfast snack. And then the other place that we would actually have like real breakfast was again. So these are all houses. There's no like actual restaurants.
There was the one run by an American. Where we played trivia. And
okay. So that's true.
I think there was one like actual restaurant.
I mean, let's be generous and we'll say there were like 3.
Okay.
Like because there was a few like coffee shops.
Because the lobster place
bars.
was also an actual restaurant, which I'll get to in a second.
Kinda.
It was.
So the place that we had breakfast, go up to it, and she just had this. There was a house with a porch. And there was a sign on the porch, and it had like the menu out on the porch. And so we go up, and just nobody was out front, and there weren't any like tables or chairs or anything like that. So we just like kind of go up and kind of peek in, and lady comes out, and she's we're like, "Are you open?" And she's like, "Oh yes, just 1 second." And so she brings out so. Before she brings out the tables onto her porch, the porch was, it's dirt. There's no concrete or anything there. They rake their porch every morning, and so the porch had like perfect rake lines all the way down, like just like perfect rake lines, like you'd see on like a baseball infield or something like that. Just on the porch. And so it was like really cool to me to see that like these people didn't really have anything, but what they did have, which was their property that their house was on, is like they took an immense amount of pride in the way that it looked, even though it was, what I think a lot of us would just classify as just like a shack basically. And the fact that they took so much care, like everybody was out. That was like the chore of the morning. Like everybody was out raking banana leaves or baking coconut tree, palm fronds,
Palm fronds. Yeah.
just out of the yard as they fell out of the trees overnight and stuff like that. So they were like taking care of their yards. They were raking up all these leaves off their porches and making their porches look nice, because the porch was their restaurant, which was their source of income throughout the day. And so it was like, she told us to hang on for a second. So we walked around for 10 minutes and then came right back. And she had like chairs and tables set up, and that's where we had breakfast every morning. Some just fresh fruit that they had picked that morning before they raked their porches, and so good.
Oh my
So
gosh, some of the
good.
best breakfasts I've ever eaten. I mean, I did not like coconut before that. Before
Yeah,
I
same.
had fresh coconut, like from the tree that I was literally looking at while I was eating the coconut. And I love coconut now. That was like that was life changing.
Well, that's all. They had coconut, and then they also had like everything they had. So it was like coconut milk and coconut oil, because they would just make it all themselves.
Which is great for me because they didn't have dairy.
They didn't have dairy.
And I'm allergic to dairy,
They
so I
didn't
didn't
have
have
cheese.
to worry about it at all. They were like, no, we don't use dairy. We use coconut milk. We use coconut butter. We use coconut oil. Like
I have a
everything.
picture of this one place, and it's like it's really ominously named, but there was this like one particular trail that went through all these like these coconut trees.
Yeah.
It was like danger coconuts, and it was like I could see that because there were a shit ton of coconuts on the ground.
There
And, like,
were. Yeah. That was dangerous.
I could see it being
But it was
actually
so much
dangerous.
fun.
Yeah, if you're walking through there, get hit with a coconut.
Yeah. But the other thing on the little Corn Islands, like the whole restaurant thing, there was one place that we had lunch every day, and it's because they had lobster tail. They had fresh lobster tail from right out of the ocean.
We were living it up.
We were living it up because it was for $6 US. You could get a lobster tail.
I think it was two.
I think it was two
I think it
lobster
was
tails.
two
Okay,
lobster tails.
I couldn't remember. It's 2 lobster tails, gallo pinto, which is beans and rice, essentially, a fruit bowl, and a beer
for $6.
for $6. And so that's
Oh.
what we had every single day, except this one day. We walked in. We had just been diving. And we go over there for lunch, and we're like, we walk up and we order the lobster, and the lady's like, "I'm sorry, we're out of lobster. Here's the rest of what we have." And we're like, "Oh, okay. Oh, darn. Poor
Darn.
pitiful us.
Poor
We can't
pitiful
have
us."
our lobster today."
But and like, sorry, the other options were like mahi tacos and like shrimp tacos.
Yeah, that was like delicious. And then so like as we're like pondering the menu, this person walks in, or we hear like the door slam in the back, and the lady is like, "Oh, actually, hold on just a second," and she runs back. And the person that just walked in, she speaks to him in Spanish, and he holds up a basket of lobster. And she's like, "We have lobster. It'll be just a minute."
Well, no, let's paint this picture just a little bit more. So the guy that she's talking to, this just like
That's true.
incredibly dark Nicaraguan guy, like you can tell he's in the sun every single day. He was soaking wet, looked like he just came out of the water because he did.
Because he still had his mask and
he had
snorkel still on.
mask and snorkel on his head. He was carrying his fins over one shoulder and a bag of lobster over the other shoulder. So like he was literally just like swimming around in the ocean,
Catching lobster. Yep, and so we got lobster. And so interestingly enough, I actually don't really love lobster. Unless it's like super fresh like that.
Yeah, it's so
and I've
much
never
better when it's
had
fresh
it.
like that.
I've never had it that fresh.
That fresh.
So
like,
good.
And there's difference between like, I mean, the ones like you get in this, like,
In like San Diego, you can, or in
yeah,
like,
I mean, even in San Diego, because in San Diego they catch them and then they go into the tanks and like.
I've never had like Maine lobster, so I can't.
I have
compare
also
it.
never had Maine lobster. No, just like
I can't compare it to that, but
I imagine that's pretty good too. But I think there's one thing. It's like something to be said about like it was literally caught 5 minutes ago as opposed to 12 hours ago. Like I don't know.
yeah.
And maybe it's just the story that goes along with it too.
Yeah, maybe it's just the experience because I think a lot of that whole situation was just so much of the experience and the experience of just being in Nicaragua and being in Little Corn Island and just like, I don't know, that whole situation was just incredible. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Yep. I really want to go back there.
Yeah, excited to go back there. But we're going to Nicaragua next week. Pretty pumped about that.
Yeah. We are a ways into this podcast.
Let's call it. I think we can save this for another one. This is pretty fun.
But the next one that I had was it's really relatable, or it's really related to this, but I guess we could do it next time.
What is it? Let me see it.
Remember that time when we spent a month in Nicaragua with your mom?
I think that could be an entire podcast.
That could be. Okay.
What
that could be.
specifically? We can talk about it.
Oh my gosh, so much stuff. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm pretty sure your mom had never been out of the country before we took her to Nicaragua.
Yes.
Maybe not the best idea, but it was a good idea.
But that's what we did anyway.
She also
And I know
did
you're
not
listening,
understand.
and I know you're listening to this, Mom. So
Yeah, that was exactly why I wrote this down. She, her Spanish is horrendous.
Oh, tell about that one time that.
Love you, Terry, but your Spanish is horrendous.
What about the one time that?
The no bueno.
Yeah, the no bueno. You tell that. That was funny.
The no bueno. So I had given Terry a few things to say to people.
And none of us are real good with Spanish. Like.
Yeah, like I think on the spectrum, it's like I probably speak the most Spanish.
Yeah.
Nathan, a little less, and Terry almost not at all at that point in time. And I'd given her a few just like phrases to respond to people, or like, no habla español, things like that. But this one person, came up to her and was trying to ask her like how she was and like just generally making conversation with her.
Well, hang on, let's back up for just a second. I think you missed something of value. So like the area that we were in there, so that was in Granada, and
Yeah.
we had already done a bus transfer. And so we had already had to go through, a bunch of people like offering to sell us like the little trinkets and all that kind of stuff and services and whatever.
And so she got no gracias down.
No gracias.
No gracias.
No gracias. No gracias. Just like,
no gracias, keep walking.
yeah, declining people of whatever they're trying to sell you, but ultimately like just still being polite. So that was relevant.
Yeah. So we get to Granada and we're walking down this road, and this man comes up to her and literally is just trying to make conversation with her, and like is like we were actually all just like standing there looking at the lake, I'm pretty sure. We were just like standing there enjoying the view, things like that. And so he walks up to her and just tries to start making like just small talk with her, not realizing that she doesn't speak a lick of Spanish. And so I think what her intent was to say no gracias and like no thank you, leave me alone kind of thing. But what she said instead was when he asked how she was doing, she said no bueno, no bueno, no bueno.
No good.
And just like
no good.
just like kept repeating no bueno, no bueno, and just like walks away. And this man is just standing there so confused.
No bueno, no good.
No bueno.
No good. How are you? No good.
No bueno, no good, no good, no good. Oh.
Hey, what about the time that like, and I I'm going to defend this till the day I die.
Your beautiful tacos.
Yes. Would you tell that story? That way I could defend it.
Yeah, so that very same night, that same night in Granada, Nate and I went out to a restaurant by ourselves. Terry stayed back at the hotel, and we sit down and are having tacos like on this like little corridor street, kind of like where there's like some street entertainment.
Oh,
it was so cool.
Good.
And so we order our tacos and we're sitting there talking and enjoying the entertainment and enjoying the drinks and everything. Anyway, so the waiter comes up to us and he asks how our food is. And Nate responds with
Muy bonitas.
bonitas.
Which is very beautiful.
Very beautiful. And me and the waiter just lock eyes and just start cracking up.
No, because how did he say that? What did he say?
I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly what he was saying. It was like, how are your tacos?
How are your tacos?
They are beautiful. They are beautiful tacos.
Yes.
And my friends, if you have ever had a taco that is so good that it's beautiful, you know. I'm sorry, Stephanie, but maybe you just haven't had a taco that's been muy bonitas.
Muy bonitas.
I will defend that till I die. That was the muy bonitas
It was
tacos
so
I have
funny though
ever
because
had.
me and the waiter both just started dying laughing.
Well, whenever
I was like, I'm sorry, just pardon this gringo. Like,
no, so I think the funniest part about this whole thing, and like maybe it's just funnier in my head because like whenever this was going on, I don't know much Spanish, but I did know enough Spanish to know what I was saying.
I don't think you did. I think this is a front.
I meant to say it was beautiful tacos because I thought they were beautiful.
I don't know. I mean, we were like 3 margaritas deep at that point. Like, I don't know. I tipped some kids way too much money.
Yeah, you did.
Their dance was really good.
Yeah, they had a good break dance.
Yeah, they had. They knew how to get to people. They had a really good dance, and then they came up to a couple of white people with a bunch of margaritas in front of them, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, take my money, whatever."
Sure, it's great.
You're great. You're great. Have fun.
They're beautiful tacos, though.
You're a beautiful taco. I think we should call this podcast and save the rest of them because I do have a few other ones.
I think this can be a round 2. I had a good time with this.
I think we're gonna have to have a round 2.
We were like, hey, let's write down five. What was the prompt?
Remember that time when?
We should write down 5 prompts for remember that one time when, and I wrote down 6 because I knew that one of them was the same as yours, and we didn't get to any of them. So I think we'll have an episode 2 of this particular thing.
I think so too. Especially the Nicaragua stuff because we are going to Nicaragua next week, and not only do I want to talk about the time that we spent the very first time we went there, but I do want to talk about the second time, and also this will be the third time.
And the third time. I'm excited.
I'm super excited.
But we will try to, so that's going to be next week, but we're going to try to like pre-record some podcasts to get them out. Keep them on schedule because we've actually had a schedule and that's kind of fun for us.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's pretty much it. So I think we're going to call it quits for this. Thanks for tuning in for yet another Nate and Steph podcast. And we will see you next week.
Bye.